Hello, and welcome back to Key to Learn English. I am Sarah, and this is Ryan, and we are so happy you are here with us today.
Really happy. And today's topic, I will be very honest, hit me personally when we were planning it. Because I have started a lot of things in my life. Finished considerably fewer.
Ryan, same. I have so many half-finished projects. A journal I wrote in for 3 days. A course I started with great confidence and then quietly abandoned somewhere around week 2.
Week 2 is where ambition goes to die, apparently.
It really is. But here is the thing. This is not a character flaw. It is not laziness, and it is definitely not something that only happens to you. This is one of the most common human experiences there is.
And today we are going to talk about the real reasons why people start things and do not finish them. Not the surface reasons, not just because you got busy or tired, but the deeper reasons underneath.
Because once you understand why it keeps happening, you can actually do something about it. And that is what this episode is really about.
We are doing all of this in B1 level English, natural, clear, and easy to follow. So just relax, stay with us, and let your English grow as we talk.
And stay until the end, because we have a full word tour with 8 key words and phrases from today's conversation, explained simply with example sentences.
And if this episode speaks to you, please like it, subscribe to Key to Learn English, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. It truly means a lot to us. Okay, let's get into this.
So Ryan, let's start at the very beginning, because I think the problem actually starts before you even begin. It starts with the feeling of starting itself.
Say more about that. What do you mean?
Well, think about the moment you get a new idea. You decide you are going to learn guitar, or start a business, or get fit, or finally write that thing you have been thinking about for years. How does that moment feel?
Honestly, it feels great. It feels like possibilities. Like, this is the thing that is going to change everything.
Exactly. And that feeling, that rush of excitement at the beginning, is real. It is genuine. But it is also temporary. Because the brain actually releases a reward chemical when you have a new idea or make a new plan.
So you get the good feeling before you have done any of the actual work.
Right. The brain rewards the planning almost as much as the doing. So you make the plan, you feel good, you buy the notebook, you download the app, and some part of your brain already feels like progress happened.
The notebook. I have purchased so many notebooks with enormous optimism. They are all mostly empty.
So many notebooks. And the thing is, buying the notebook feels like starting. Setting up the app feels like starting. Telling your friends about the plan feels like starting. But none of those things are actually the work.
And then when the real work begins, the boring, difficult, unglamorous middle part, the brain does not get that same reward. Because the exciting part already happened, in the planning.
And that is the first trap. People fall in love with the idea of the thing, not the actual process of doing the thing. And those two experiences feel very, very different.
The idea is clean and exciting. The process is messy and slow and sometimes deeply frustrating. And nobody warns you quite clearly enough about that gap.
So, the first honest thing to ask yourself before you start anything new is, do I love the idea of this? Or am I genuinely willing to do the boring middle parts? Because the boring middle parts are where everything actually gets built.
And that is not a comfortable question, but it is a very important one.
Okay, so the excitement trap is one reason. But there is another big reason people stop, and this one is a little harder to admit: perfectionism.
Haha, yes, perfectionism. The thing that sounds like a high standard, but is actually very often just fear in a nice suit.
That is such a good way to say it. Because perfectionism feels productive. It feels like, I just want to do this really well. But a lot of the time, it is actually, I am scared that what I produce will not be good enough.
And that fear of producing something imperfect, of being judged, of trying and not being as good as you hoped, that fear can quietly stop people from finishing things, or even from properly starting.
Because here is the thing about an unfinished project: as long as it is unfinished, it still has potential. It is still the thing it could be, not the thing it actually is.
That is such a real observation. An unfinished thing cannot be criticized. It cannot disappoint anyone. It exists safely in the space of possibility.
So stopping in the middle, or never quite finishing, can sometimes be a way of protecting yourself from judgment. If you never show the finished thing, nobody can tell you it was not good enough.
Which is a very clever strategy. It is also completely useless for actually building anything in your life.
Very useless. And the problem with perfectionism is that it sets an impossible standard before you even begin. You compare your very first attempt, your rough, messy, early version, to the polished, finished version you imagine in your head.
And of course, it does not match. Nothing in its early stages looks like the finished version. That is not failure. That is just how everything works. Every skill, every project, every craft starts messy and gets better through practice.
The writer whose first draft is terrible is not a bad writer. They are a writer who has a first draft, which is already more than most people have.
Done is better than perfect. I know that phrase gets used a lot, but there is a reason it keeps getting said, because it is genuinely true. A finished, imperfect thing is worth more than a perfect thing that only exists in your imagination.
And giving yourself permission to produce something imperfect, to show up even when you are not at your best, that is not lowering your standards. That is the only way anything ever actually gets finished. So we have talked about the excitement trap and perfectionism. But there is a third reason, and this one is about a specific moment that happens in almost every project: the middle.
The middle. Yes. The beginning has energy. The end has the reward of finishing. But the middle? The middle is where everything gets hard and boring and slow, and you start questioning why you even started.
And in the middle, two things usually happen. First, the initial excitement is completely gone. You already know how to do the basic things, and the novelty has disappeared entirely.
And second, the end still feels very far away. So you are stuck in this place where the beginning's energy is behind you and the finish line is not yet in sight. Just a lot of work in between.
Some people call this the dip. It is that uncomfortable valley in the middle of every worthwhile project where you feel like giving up, not because the goal is wrong, but because the middle is hard.
And this is where most people quietly stop. They do not make a dramatic decision to quit. They just slow down, miss a day, then 2 days, then a week. And then the project is just something they used to be doing.
And the interesting thing is, the people who finish things are not people who never feel like giving up in the middle. They feel it too. Every single one of them.
The difference is, they expected the middle to be hard. They knew the dip was coming. So when it arrived, they were not surprised by it. They just kept going anyway.
And that is actually a really powerful mindset shift. Instead of thinking, if this gets hard, something is wrong, you start thinking, when this gets hard, that means I am exactly where I am supposed to be.
Which does not make the hard part easier, exactly, but it makes it feel less like a reason to stop.
Exactly. The difficulty is not a sign that you chose the wrong thing. It is a sign that you are doing a real thing. Real things are difficult. That is what makes finishing them actually mean something.
And one practical thing that really helps in the middle is breaking the goal into pieces so small that you can finish one of them today. Not the whole project, just the next piece. Just the next step.
Because motivation does not always come before action. Sometimes it comes after. You take one small action, and that action creates just enough momentum to take the next one. And slowly, the middle moves. So let's bring this all together. Because this episode is not just about understanding the problem, it is about actually doing something about it. So, practically, how do you become someone who finishes things?
First thing, and this is simple, but people skip it. Be honest with yourself about why you are starting. Are you excited about the process or just the outcome? Because if you only want the outcome and have no patience for the process, that project will almost certainly stay unfinished.
And that honesty is actually kind to yourself, because it stops you from starting 20 things and finishing none of them. It helps you choose the things you are actually willing to do the work for.
Second, set a smaller goal. Most people quit because the goal is too big and too far away. If the goal is write a book, that is terrifying. If the goal is write 200 words today, that is very possible.
Small goals create small wins, and small wins create the habit of finishing. And the habit of finishing is the real skill, not talent, not perfect conditions, not the right time, just the habit.
Third, and this is one I had to really learn, stop waiting for motivation to show up before you start. Motivation is unreliable. It does not appear on a schedule. It does not care about your plans.
Instead, rely on routine. Show up at the same time, in the same way, whether you feel like it or not. The feeling follows the action, not the other way around.
Which sounds very boring, but it is extraordinarily effective. Boring consistency beats exciting but inconsistent effort every single time.
Every time. And fourth, forgive yourself when you miss a day. Because you will miss a day. Everyone does. The mistake is not missing one day. The mistake is deciding that missing one day means you have failed completely.
Missing one day does not break a habit. Missing every day after that because you felt guilty about the first one, that breaks the habit. So when you miss a day, you just come back the next day. No drama, no big restart. You just continue.
And finally, remind yourself regularly why you started. Not the exciting first feeling, the deeper reason, the real reason. Because when the middle gets hard, The real reason is the only thing strong enough to keep you going.
And if you can find that real reason and hold on to it, finishing becomes not just possible, it becomes something you genuinely do. One small, consistent, imperfect step at a time.
And one day, you will look up and the thing will be done. Not perfectly, but done. And done, as we said, is worth so much more than perfect. Okay, time for our word tour. Let's look at the most useful words and phrases from today. Perfect for talking about goals, habits, and finishing what you start.
Let's go through them together.
First, follow through. Follow through. It means to finish something you started, to actually complete what you said you would do.
For example, she had great ideas, but her real strength was that she always followed through on them. Repeat. Follow through.
Next, procrastinate. Procrastinate. It means to keep delaying something you need to do, usually by doing easier or more enjoyable things instead.
For example, he knew the deadline was coming, but he kept procrastinating and ran out of time. Repeat. Procrastinate.
Next phrase, give up. Give up. It means to stop trying to do something, to quit before you reach the goal.
For example, the middle part was very hard, but she refused to give up. Repeat. Give up.
Next word, momentum. Momentum. It means the energy or forward movement that builds up when you keep taking action consistently.
For example, once he built some momentum with small daily steps, the project started moving much faster. Repeat. Momentum.
Next, stay on track. Stay on track. It means to continue following your plan and not get distracted or fall behind.
For example, life got busy, but she found small ways to stay on track with her goal every day. Repeat. Stay on track.
Next word, consistency. Consistency. It means doing something regularly, in the same way, over a long period of time without stopping.
For example, it was not talent that got him there. It was pure consistency over many months. Repeat. Consistency.
Next phrase, lose motivation. Lose motivation. It means to stop feeling excited or driven about something you were working toward.
For example, he started with a lot of energy, but after a few weeks, he began to lose motivation. Repeat. Lose motivation.
And our last phrase, see something through. See something through. It means to continue working on something until it is completely finished, no matter how difficult it gets.
For example, it took much longer than she expected, but she was determined to see it through to the end. Repeat. See something through.
And those were our 8 words. Follow through, procrastinate, give up, momentum, stay on track, consistency, lose motivation, and see something through.
Say them out loud. Use one in a real sentence today. Small steps. That is all it takes. And you are already doing it just by being here.
And now, our favorite part of every episode, the listener comment challenge.
This week, we want you to leave a comment and tell us, what is one thing you started but never finished? And do you think you will go back to it someday?
Be honest. This is a safe space. Your answer might help someone else feel less alone about their own unfinished things. Even one sentence is perfect.
And also, please tell us where in the world you are listening from. We absolutely love seeing all the different places our Key to Learn English family reaches. Every comment means so much to us.
As we finish today, we want to leave you with this. Starting is brave, but finishing is where the real growth happens. It is where you prove something to yourself that nobody else can prove for you.
And you do not have to be perfect. You do not have to be fast. You do not have to feel motivated every single day. You just have to keep going. One small, honest step at a time.
Pick one thing, just one. And this week, instead of starting something new, go back and take the next step on something you already began. See what happens.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. This has been Key to Learn English, and we will see you in the next episode.
Keep learning, keep going, and please finish things. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. You have got this. See you next time.